What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of The Adventures of Comic Girl. I am your host, Steph T, and today I wanted to talk to you about a comic book that I feel probably doesn't get that much attention, but I feel like it should because it actually has some pretty interesting concepts. So the comic I am going to talk to you about today is called Plutona. Plutona is published by Image Comics. You see right there? Boop. Issue number 1 was published in September of 2015, so this was a little bit ago, but I kind of wanted to start with the first issue and work my way on. So I want to tell you now that there are going to be a bit of spoilers, but honestly not really, because even if you go online and you read the synopsis for issue 1, it kind of just tells you like the main thing that happens in the book, because that's the whole concept of it. So Plutona is published by, like I said, Image Comics. It is written by Jeff Lemire and Emmy Lennox. So the first thing that I would like to talk to you about is the story. So basically, Plutona follows 5 preteen to teenagers throughout their everyday life. What happens is they get together after school and they're just hanging out, walking through the woods. I can't actually remember how they made it to said woods, but they're walking through it, and then they stumble across a body. No, it's not a dead animal, thank the mercy, and no, it's not a hobo. It is none other than the main hero in the story, Plutona. So the kids have to basically react to finding a superhero who is dead. And I like that idea because even when I was little, I always had the notion that superheroes were basically immortal. Yeah, they get beat up and kind of punched in the face several times and somehow always lose their shirts.
So you managed to get your shirt off.
But they come back in the end and they are victorious over the bad guys. Not this particular superhero. There has been some battle that she was in. We're not really too aware of that just yet, and she has lost terribly. Now, when I started reading this, I thought, well, maybe there's going to be some type of plot twist, because again, like I said, I'm kind of used to the superheroes coming back. But the writers and the artists kind of throw that idea out the window, because on the very first page, you see the beaten and bruised body of Plutona, and look at this. There are flies covering her. Her feet are at this ridiculously uncomfortable angle. Like, if you were alive, you would know, just know. And then there's flies covering her chest, and then even flies covering her face. That's pretty much saying, hey, she's gone. So it's going to be interesting just to see how these teenagers react to something that basically says that superheroes are vulnerable just like you or me. They are faced with just that, the idea of mortality, and they're hit with it head on. So the next thing I want to talk about are the characters. Because this is issue 1 and the pace was kind of slow, we don't really learn that much about the characters, but we learn enough to kind of understand who you need to look out for and who you kind of have some sympathy for. The first character I want to talk about is Diane. Diane is the overweight, low self-esteem character in the book, although she seems ridiculously friendly, like a friend that I would like to have in real life. But she's a bit of a pushover, and you can kind of tell by that in the first few pages of the comic, which kind of leads me on to the second character. The second character's name is either Me or My. I can't pronounce it, and comic books don't talk to me, so it's not going to say, hey, you're pronouncing it wrong. But Mai is the second character in the book. She is the best friend to Diane. She is very confident and a bit pushy. Now, the reason why you can tell that these two personalities kind of clash is because early in the book, Diane has made this pretty awesome leather jacket. It's got like spikes on the shoulders. It basically looks like she walked straight out of Grease Lightning. And Mai thinks it's pretty cool and asks if she can borrow it. Diane says, yeah, sure, okay, but you can kind of tell that she's like, well, I kind of want to wear this. Get your own jacket. But she gives it to her best friend anyway, and then the best friend kind of runs away with it and doesn't give it back to her when she said she was going to. And Diane tries to bring that up to her, and Mai kind of just pushes her away and is like, why are you complaining? I gave you the jacket back. Chill out. So that kind of dynamic lets you know that Mai is probably going to change drastically from issue 1 on down. And I kind of hope that Diane does as well. Hopefully she becomes aware that Mai, at least at this point in time, isn't the best person to be friends with. Next character I would like to talk about is Mike. Mike is the little brother to Mai, and we don't really know that much about him besides the fact that he likes to play video games. He's kind of like, right now the only reason why I see that he's in the book at all is because Mai got stuck babysitting him, so he's kind of like the tag-along friend. And then we have the tough guy of the group named Ray. He's a bit of a bully, so I'm not entirely sure why these kids even hang out with him. But he bullies 2 of the characters, one being Diane, and then another one that I'm going to talk about a little later. Now, Ray has a bit of a tough life because he does have to take care of himself. In the first several pages of the book, you see the lives of the kids before they go about their school day, and Ray has to like wake his dad up, who is obviously drunk, sleeping on the couch to go to work. So he has a bit of a rough life at home, and it looks to me like he covers that up by being a little bit of an asshole to other people. And then the final character is named Teddy. Now Teddy is a bit of a nerd, so he's like the nerdy one out of the 5 friends. One of his hobbies is to basically keep track of superhero sightings, and he kind of logs them in this logbook that he has. Ray picks on him ridiculously because of the hobby that he has. Yeah, I can kind of tell why Teddy does that, because he's kind of a loner kid, and it looks to me like he enjoys just being able to see those superheroes and be able to see like the good things that they do. Alright, and then the last thing I'd like to talk about is the artwork. Now, I really enjoy this artwork because it looks kind of grainy, kind of like watercolory. I don't even know how to explain it. It really drew my attention, and I just really, really love, the bit of detail that they put into the book. One thing that I really enjoyed is that in the back of the book, when the main story is over, we actually get like a mini comic of Plutona herself. So we get introduced to the main character who like the whole story is based off of, except we can't learn that much about her because she's dead. So that's pretty interesting. I think that was a nice detail to add. I really like that they made the characters realistic, and they're not like those really tiny, like 2-dimensional type characters. You can tell that each kid is a little more. You could tell that Plutona doesn't have the best life, that she's hiding something, that she has a completely different life from her superhero life, and that it might not just be the greatest for her. One thing that I was not a big fan of in this particular issue was that the pace is very, very, very slow. So we legit follow these kids throughout their day, and you're just kind of like, okay, I get it. I already know what's going to happen, so why isn't this moving a bit faster? I understand that they want it to be a more realistic, but I felt like they could have picked it up just a wee bit, just a dash. So I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of Plutona. I am always looking for new comics or new novels to read. So if you have any suggestions, please put them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. And I will see you next time on the Adventures of Comic Girl, where I bring back a classic comic book that even my mom is too old to remember, but it's been revamped pretty well, and I am hooked, line, and sinkered. Sinkered?